Is this an art form or are you just a technician? Is this an art form or are you just a technician? Is this an art form or are you just a technician? Is this an art form? 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 Is this
I'm Mark Riley, and before me stand and sit, actually, Durutti column. Hello, you lot.
Hello.
Good to have you in again. It was just over a year ago, the last time you came in.
Yeah.
So we'll book you in again for another year.
Yeah.
All right, on your way out. Have a word with Michelle. We'll get that sorted, no bother. Vinny, spin around the room and tell us who's here and who is missing.
Okay, we've got Bruce Mitchell, as always, on drums and percussion.
You'd be devastated if he wasn't.
I couldn't do it.
Absolutely.
In fact, I've refused if he's not there.
Right, good on you.
And we've got Mr. Keir Stewart, who is also my producer and produced the last few Durutti Column albums and playing keyboards, samples, all kinds of stuff.
He's a nutty professor of the band, isn't he?
Yeah, he's supposed to be the bass player, but he just expanded and then produced everything, and he's just can't. That's it. Can't work without Keir. Can't work without Bruce. We've got Tim Keller, ex-formerly of all kinds of bands like Simply Red and Olive, who's now done another album with Olive, which I'm playing on, which is superb, which Keir has also produced. And
I haven't produced it.
Well, it's done
bass then was brilliant.
That's good. You see, it's normally me who starts fights amongst bands, but you did it yourself tonight. Good work, Durutti column.
I'll get battered lately.
You will. Is Bruce on this Olive album?
No, but there's still time, though.
A backward step there, I think. And, of course, in the other room is Poppy.
Yeah, Poppy Morgan, who is my girlfriend, but she's also a very accomplished pianist. And the thing is that this is like... we're going to be playing like tunes that are from an album which... What happened was when Tony Wilson, my dear, dear friend, became very seriously ill, I sent him a cassette of, like a CD of a demo, which was just instrumental, and then there was a joke running that he liked it, and then there was a joke which is like, come and play your Spanish guitar, but promise no singing, because he always wanted to stop me singing.
Right.
So
I'm like that with Stereophonics, but go on.
Yeah. So I've done an album, and it's kind of a co-written album. Everybody's written this. Me, Keir, and Bruce especially. Sort of did the whole thing, so it's instead of me being my usual egocentric megalomaniacal self, it's everybody's had a big input, and that's made a big difference. And I'm not singing on any single track at all. It's just sample voices which Keir's found and I've found,
and which is what you believe Tony would have wanted.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right, we'll have a chat about your relationship with Tony and further things a little bit later on. But so, what is this first tune you're going to do? It's two tunes actually, isn't it?
I forgot what the title is. It's Tony Wilson Chant or something like that.
Well, you've got artist or technician chant, but on the album it's just, or are you just a technician and chant? So whatever you like, really.
Yeah. This features a sample of Tony from one of his very, very early Granada TV broadcasts.
Right.
And the album ends with a track with his last public appearance, which is a sample which Bruce Mitchell
Finn,
found.
The one that finishes with Tony is another song.
Oh, it's
a different
it's another song at the end of the album.
Okay.
Anyway, I'll shut up because I'm making a complete mess of everything. I'll just play.
It's all right, this is only a run-through, this isn't going out. All right then, Durutti column, live in session, I'm not sure what it's called, but they aren't either. I'm Mark Riley, and the Durutti column are in the room once again. Hello.
Hiya.
All right then, so, Vinny, the album, what's it called again?
Pay On to Wilson.
Okay, and that will be Tony Wilson, who we heard sampled in the first tune. So, I mean, it's very touching. I mean, not only the fact that you did it, but the notes within the actual the album itself, relate to your experiences with Tony throughout his life and his death, actually. But the release date of the album is quite important as well, isn't it?
But I don't know what it is.
Is it?
He does.
You need to do a bit more research, you see. Get me in as your researcher.
I never remember.
All right then, Keir, do you know?
Yeah, it's the 24th of January. Bearing in mind, this all happened before I joined the band. But I believe that the 24th of January was the night that Tony Allen and the other factory, founders.
It was Tony. He doesn't know.
Oh,
It was the movement of the 24th of January.
Right.
Tony's first entrepreneurial go on a record, and it was him and Alan Erasmus, and that's when they started. The 24th of January, the movement of the 24th of January, and the show at the Lowry. Marc?
Yeah, which we've already announced, yeah.
Is on the 24th of January.
Yeah, so it all makes sense.
Numerically correct.
Yeah, good, as we would have it. But I noticed in your notes here, Vinny, you were talking about, you were very, very close to Tony. I mean, is it right that you were the first actor signed to Factory, really?
I don't know whether that had anything... It was just we just seemed to click. I mean, I met him when I was in the Nosebleeds, my imitation punk band.
I saw you playing on many occasions.
Oh, God. But we just always got on because I recognised his truthfulness and directness, and I appreciated it where other people might not. And he was I think he was quite easy on me, and he was more than generous with his patience and indulged my ideas and stuff. So he was just a fantastic guy, and I loved him very, very much as a friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
I helped to bring his, like as part of his young son Oliver's growing up and stuff, and who's a very fine young man now. So it's just very family. Very Factory, very family.
It's something I could relate to, which I will mention that in your notes, the sleeve notes from the album, about the fact that when Tony passed away, and there were all kind of tributes to him and events and this, that and the other, and Mr. Literature and Mr. Manchester Music and all that kind of stuff, and you couldn't attend any because at the end of the day, he was your friend, he was a close friend, and he passed away. Yeah. And it's strange because I got asked to do quite a few things around there when the time that John Peel died. I got asked to do something about an hour after I'd found out that John Peel died, and I said to the person involved, I've just lost a friend. Are you aware of what's going on here? So it's a strange kind of thing, isn't it? The celebrity that surrounds it.
I know. You're too busy, as you pointed out, you're too busy with your own personal feelings and dealing with it and grieving and all. You get angry and all the grieving process and. Yeah, so I wasn't feeling like doing anything at all for quite a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. I can imagine. Well, you've done the album now and a fitting tribute. And what are you going to do next for us?
It's called Brother, and it's got Marvin Gaye's voice all over it. Keira and Bruce sampled it and stuff. I don't know. I'm not going to blame one single person in case there's a massive lawsuit. But
he's passed away, Marvin Gaye. He'll be all right. I won't tell anyone.
I know. Well, I think
publisher. I will worry about.
I think Marvin Gaye would like the way we've used it, and I don't care what the rest of them say. They can come and take us to court. I don't care. It works with the music. So
that's the sound of a gauntlet being thrown down. But nobody will pick it up, I'm sure. Okay, the Durutti column live in session. Yeah, wonderful. Once again, the Durutti column live in session with Brother. Those dates again, Sunday the 24th of January at the Keys Theatre in Lowry in Salford, and then on Sunday the 31st of January, the Leicester Square Theatre, 6 Leicester Place, which would be in London. One more to come in around about, I don't know, quarter of an hour.
6 Music.
So that was Led Zeppelin and You Shook Me, Durutti column back in the room. Vinny, you were just saying that Jimmy Page, one of your early idols?
Yeah, the first proper guitar that Tony came to me one day and said, your first album's earned enough money to get a decent guitar, what do you want? And I just went, I want this guitar, and I showed him a cut-out picture of Jimmy with his sunburst Les Paul, and sure enough I got one.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, but have you still got that guitar?
No, it kind of got smashed up.
Oh, right, okay. So, really? All right, mate. So, and do you know what? I think we've got some kind of technical problem, so I will go and play Joanna Newsom. We'll come back to you in a bit, but we'll continue the conversation for a moment, because, Tim, you are in the... Oh, it's all right, Nick, is it? Okay. Tim, you're in the room now. We talked about you before as if you weren't here, but you are here. And you know, I knew that you were in Simply Red. I've seen you on telly. And I knew you were in Olive because you had the great misfortune, indeed the indignity, to be included on Top of the Pops when Mark Radcliffe and I introduced it.
That's right, yeah.
So, you know, I am sorry about that.
No,
but I
did a very good job, actually.
Oh, of course we did.
Yeah.
But I wasn't aware of the fact that you were an early, very, very early member of Durutti Column.
Yeah, I was at the Music College in Manchester, and along with 2 other guys, and Vinny wanted some classical musicians, so we kind of turned up at the Hacienda for an audition, and lucky, you know, we got the job, and we played on a couple of albums, and I kind of sporadically come back in and out when he needs some trumpet.
Okay, all right then. And your time in Simply Red, was it a happy time?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it was a long time, 10 years of it, so I was pleased to get on with something different, but we did some incredible things, yeah. Right,
okay, great stuff. All right, then. So, you're going to do one more tune, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then I thought you were going to play ukulele on this because you were playing that before. Or did you do that for Gideon?
Yeah.
Ah, you've recorded a tune for Gideon Cole later on. Good on you. All right, then. So, one final tune from the Durutti column, which I have to say is going down really, really well with the listeners, and why wouldn't it?
Oh, thank you.
So, what's this one called?
Well, I forgot what's it called.
I don't know.
Duet with piano?
Yeah, well, Poppy wrote this one. Poppy Morgan, and and Tim plays trumpet, and I doodle. Poppy writes she writes lots of her own material, so I just hijack some of it and put it on the auspices of Durutti column and pretend it's all something to do with me, but it isn't. I'm just doodling, but it's Poppy's tune.
Yeah, good work, fella. And we're talking about Poppy as if she isn't here, but she is. Hello, Poppy.
Hello.
Welcome to Proceedings, and not for the first time, you are aware. I mean, I'm very, very surprised to see you tonight, because once you've been on, I would imagine that you wouldn't want to do it a second time, but you're here, and that's a credit to you. So, Durutti column, and, go for it. Beautiful. Durutti column live in session with Duet with piano. Now, Vinny, Thomas Moore's been on from Toronto, and he asked a very pertinent question, and we can't give him an answer to it. He said, when are Durutti column touring Canada? You're not, are you?
I have toured Canada, and they do great split pea soup. Really nice. And
right,
that
okay.
Kept me alive.
So, I mean, it's not for the terrain or the people or perhaps the wildlife, it's for the split pea soup that you might return one day, but at the moment your world tour consists of just 2 dates.
Yeah, well, I don't want to go mad.
You don't want to go bonkers all at once, do you? No. And we've already mentioned, 24th of January at the Keys Theatre in Salford, and then the following Sunday, the 31st of January, the Leicester Square Theatre in London.
Thank you very much for having us on your show.
It's always an absolute joy, and I mean that. So, as I say, optimism costs nothing. See you in a year.
Yeah, please.
All right, then. Wonderful stuff, the Durutti column. So, Ray in Batley, we don't normally do...